Hello everyone and welcome to Studying the Masters Children's Book Edition. I am Alicia Dianne and welcome to Alicia Dianne Art. We're going to go into our illustration. We're studying Vashti Harrison right now. So the book is Sue. We talked about it last week and we started it last week. So that's the book. And we're going to continue on in the illustration that we began last week, and let's see how far we can get. I know I want to add like texture, and we got a lot of the flat color in, we got the sketch in, so let's see how far we can go today. I am going to pull up my Photoshop window. Let me see if I can find the illustration. Here we go. Let's pull it up. All right, awesome. So this is what we're working with. The original image has a lot more going on, so right now it's basically just like flat color, but we'll see how far that we can get today. All right, so let's see. I want to first of all, I'm going to take down some of the opacity on some of this so I can get a little bit more involved in texture. So let's see my layers here. Okay, I have a lot more layers than I realized I had. I'm gonna start naming things. So so I know what they are. Gonna rename that bed frame. And I'm just going to put in instead of in because I don't want it to take up too much space. Let's see. This one is just going to be the bed. What's this one? So this one is the dresser, the window frame, and what is that? Like a, let's see. So let's see. Dresser, window frame. And put that together. And I don't remember what those things are called. Those things that go by the window that you can sit on. I'm just gonna put Gabby for cabinet. Because I don't remember what those things are called. You don't have to you're not required to know what the name of everything is just to draw it. Alright, so I have a little bit more flatting to do. So maybe I will do that first. I think I'm gonna loop these together and group. So let's see, this one is BG colors, and let's see, I'm going to add some more. So what I want to do right now, where's the cabinet, the dresser? Alright, so maybe I'll put it, maybe I'll just add it to the top, and this I will call objects because this is what I want to color in, like the small objects. So let's go ahead and do that, because I'd rather just kind of get everything out of the way before I get into more detail. Get the small things out of the way so I'm not like thinking about it too much. Alright, so I wish I could play like some royalty free music or something, but I think I'll also turn down the opacity on this a bit more. Alright, so this is it's like a little shoebox. And I think I will use that polygonal lasso tool for my really straight edges. I used it a little bit last week once I remembered what it was, because I was like, how am I going to get these straight lines in Photoshop? And then I remembered that this is a thing. So for some things I will use this. And let's see, find the right color. Okay, maybe a little bit more saturated than that. Okay, and picture frame, I'll also use all of these really straight edges. It just makes sense to do it with this. If you're working with Procreate, you can just use that, let me see. Even this is like in the purple color, but it's like a little bit warmer. So I'm trying to just kind of also pay attention to the color palettes that she's using and how she's picking her colors. So like this is a picture frame, so it would be like a brownish color, you would think, or something along those lines, but she's still keeping it in that purple range. So just trying to think into the mind of the artist that you're studying and try and kind of figure out like where their logic was, because it's in there somewhere. Just gotta pay attention to the small details. Alright, and this one, there's a couple of round objects, so I'll just leave those alone for a minute and finish doing all of my more square objects. And this one is even rounded at the top, but since it's a cylinder, I feel like I can use this. Maybe darker. Alright, so we're making progress. Let's see, this one, I think I will. I could use like a ruler or like a grid, but I think we'll be alright without it. And even this one is still in that purple color range. A little more red, I think. Yes. But I think I want to change the perspective just a little bit. I know we talked about the perspective, like this being a 2-point perspective piece last week. So I'm really just kind of eyeballing it because my, what are those things called? My vanishing points will be out of the frame. So I'm just trying to just visualize where they would be. Alright, that's got a rounded top too, but I think I'm just going to use that for now. A little bit lighter. Alright. I think I want to make that even. Some of this stuff is hard to see, like where that cabinet is ending. Turn that off a second. So what I can probably do also is on my objects layer, I'll turn it back on for now. Go back to my objects layer, if my stylus will let me. I'm going to clean it up, but first I want to finish what I started. Okay, so let's see. I want to round this out. And I want to round this out as well. Not worried about the color that's on the inside because that's already filled, but the shape on the outside, obviously, you want to get that right. I just did a lot of editing to my website. Well, I feel like it was a lot of editing to my website, and that's probably something I can talk about today as well. Just what's going on in my career at the moment. Gosh, the windows are closed, but like this, I feel like I still hear everything outside. So frustrating. And I'm going to put the globe under here, and what I'm going to do to make it transparent is just do that, just make it transparent. Alright, so I'm gonna fill it with a gradient, and I want it to be like a circle or there, that one. Oops, I want it to be white and transparent. There. So it's coming from here. Good. And I'll just make it a little bit more transparent. So let's see if I make it like 70%. That's not bad. Alright, so I'm gonna leave it like that for now. That's the globe. Snow globe or whatever it is. I'll probably take it down in transparency more, but right now I have bigger fish to fry, as they say. And go back to my objects. Let's see what brushes I was using last time. Alright, I used the pastel. What's that one? Dry media. Okay, so it does tell me. I wasn't sure if it tells me what the brush is when I hover over it. Alright, so I want to find that one that I like to use often, which is that it's like I think it's called a Conte brush. Dry media, yeah. Conte alias. Perfect. Alright, so that's the one I want to use to do like as almost like a pencil brush that I would use. My favorite brush in Procreate is becoming that 6B pencil. I really like it for outlining and for adding little details. I think it's really fun for children's book illustration too, because it has like it feels like you're drawing with crayon kind of. So I like that about it. Let's see. Yeah, it almost has like some, I don't know. Let's see if we can find the right color. I haven't gone and drawn like in a cafe for a while, so I think I might actually do that today. I'm getting like, now that I'm not teaching at the moment, I just been working on children's book stuff, and sometimes it can get lonely. So I think that you should find ways to like, I don't know, keep yourself, if you're working on a children's book project, you have to find ways, because it's like anything that you do, like, you know, independently, or like if you're freelancing and you're doing a project and you know you're doing it alone, it can get like daunting. So one of the things that you can do that I've done before, I haven't done it in a while, is just kind of find different places to draw that are still comfortable for you to draw in. Like, it really helps a lot if you have an iPad, or if you're having like portable, you can do it with portable traditional tools too. I've done that as well. Like, I've taken like a backpack with my markers and stuff like that. You can do that as well. It just helps to change the scenery sometimes. You don't want to be like that hairy, overgrown artist. You know, you want to get out into the world sometimes, even though it's like you have your deadlines. And even if you're working from home, a lot of people from studios I hear no longer are working in office space but work from home. I was talking to a lady, the last time I talked with somebody at the studio, was a recruiter, and she lives in Las Vegas now and does everything just remotely. So a lot of people move and do their thing. So if you're working independently, you got to find ways to not lose your mind because you want to keep your sanity. That's kind of important. A little bit. Alright. I want to change it just a little bit because it looks like it's just a little bit curved, like it's like a sheet of paper. So that's what I'm trying to do now, is add that little bit of a curve. And all this stuff takes time. I was working on, I wanted to make some modifications to my character designs, and because I didn't like the color on some of them and like the paper texture that was in the back, or I didn't have a paper texture in the back, and I just wanted, to just make them feel more up to date and current. And even though some of them are, they're still newer designs, but just the colors that I had on them I didn't like, so I was just tweaking stuff. And sometimes you think that that's going to take just like, it's not going to take that long, but it takes a long time. Like, everything is time consuming. So I think just being aware that yes, it does take time can help you with, if you're starting to feel like stressed or like you're moving slow. Just know that it's not just you. All of us are going through the same thing. It's just time consuming. I was studying Marissa Valdez in the last illustration, and that was one of the things she talked about in her course, was just like, it was all about portfolio growth and, portfolio development, I guess. And she's like, yeah, I mean, we did this, but just know that when you're building your portfolio, sometimes it can and will take months to do. It's not something that just, don't be so hard on yourself to feel like it's going to just happen just like that. And that's something that I do have to like constantly remind myself of. Like, I think I can do something in a month, but really realistically, it takes a lot longer than that to finish everything you want to finish. And I'm gonna roughly put in something here. Get the magnetic one, the polygonal one. I heard Donald Trump is going to jail. I don't talk politics on here, but I just thought it was kind of interesting that he got, I mean, we all knew that he was guilty anyway, but just saying, I just had to like put that little part out there. Oh man, racism is still a thing in this country. I mean, a lot of people don't want to hear that, but it is. I just like was on vacation last weekend, and we went to Yosemite, and I live in Pasadena, so it's a little bit of a drive, driving all the way from Pasadena to Yosemite. And so you go through some small towns, and some places are nice and some places are, just, you're just there for a minute and then that's it. And we just paused the car, for a moment to just get out and stretch. And then somebody, I don't know like what their political ideals were, but they called me an N-word, just out of nowhere. And I was just like, we were just literally just me and my family just hanging out by the car, just trying to stretch from the drive. And like, this thing still happen. And the problem is like, with politics, is sometimes people think that these things don't happen anymore. But when we have politicians that enable stuff like that, then they continue to happen, and it sucks. And I didn't think I was going to even talk about that today. But I feel like it's kind of important to like say, yes, these things are still happening. These things are still happening. So, I mean, I think we should be aware and just, I think sensitive to things that don't affect us directly are affecting other people. So, just hopefully people can be mindful of that. It's just like when politicians are like irresponsible with how they talk about groups of people, it affects those people. So that's just what I wanted to say. So not like, oh, like politics is this or that. It's just like when some people are just, hateful, then you can't support that, or I don't support that. But anyway, back to art. Now that I've said my piece about what I need to say, we'll get back to art. What did I want to talk about? Oh yeah, I'm in the mentorship program, and I wanted to talk a little bit about that because I really wanted to. I was just talking about how I making some changes to my portfolio. What I really wanted to do was categorize things because I have everything like kind of looped together. And what I more wanted to do to update it was kind of also, make the changes I was talking about with like the coloring and stuff like that, but also like categorize things so that I have not everything grouped together, because I do the children's book illustration and I do like the character design stuff and like the stuff for animation. So I have my stuff for books and I have my stuff for animation or for film, whatever, however you want to call it, for animation. So I wanted to separate how I group things so that, depending on who's coming to look at my website, they can see that thing and see that, okay, I know how to do that, whatever that is. So I spent a lot of time this week doing those edits, and I was scheduled in the mentorship to have like the discussion around me, because we're taking turns where everyone is like taking time to talk about whatever they're going through in their career right now. The whole idea is that everyone is kind of making changes and trying to get feedback from the mentor. But the mentor is has canceled a lot, and it's kind of been frustrating for me, like, because she canceled a few times before and she canceled again yesterday, and I'm trying to figure out how to like voice I guess my concerns, because I don't want to feel like complaining like everybody had to apply. It's something that we had to put effort into to just even be a part of. So, and not to bring this up again, but I am like the only person of, well, I don't think I'm the only black person in the group, and I just don't want to be like that kind of thing. Is like, you don't want to be the one complaining, but I feel like I need to address, like, I want to bring things up, but sometimes it can be challenging. You don't want to be like that one person who's complaining, especially, if you're different from everybody. But I don't know. Regardless, I feel like I do want to bring it up, and I think I will. But I'm just not really sure exactly how or what I want to say, because I'm not angry. I just feel disappointed in what I was expecting from the group. I mean, one time is, life happens, but when things keep happening over and over again, it starts to feel like it's a trend, or becomes bothersome. So I'll try to figure out how to talk about it. That's kind of the person in the frame. Part of it is like covered by, like, I took a scan, so part of it has like the page glaze over it, so I can't fully see, but I think it's something like this. It must be the mom or something. And I think I'll even put in the little bit of, because I can tell there's like some animals. Let me deselect that. There's like some animals in here. And maybe I'll make it more gray, so it's not stark white. There's like an elephant. And I believe a giraffe. And I think there's something else too, but I'm not really sure what the other animals are. Maybe just something there. Okay, so that's that. I don't want to get into too many of the little details just yet, but let's see, in the frame, I'll frame that, and let's go back over to the objects. And so what I want to do here is begin to color what's over here. Just like flat color, so I have it there. And I think I will also use this polygonal lasso tool just to get things kind of started. All right. Let's see. I feel like now I'm thinking about my plan at all was not to talk about politics today, but I'm just thinking about some of these things, you know, they enter my mind, they're important to me, but it's just, you know, this is all complicated. It really is. I don't like to act like things aren't existing though when they are. So, I don't know. I don't have like a solution. I just know that they can't be ignored. So one of the things that I talk about sometimes in this channel is like making art that, or like finding things that are meaningful to you. So I feel like as artists, that's part of our job as well. It's just finding those things that we need to talk about and talking about it in your art. Oops. Because not everybody is like likes to talk about things like, or has like the ability really to verbalize things in certain ways. So you have to find ways to talk about what's important. I think art is a great way to do that. I think that's a good thing with this book too. I mean, just like talking about how one person can feel in regards to their skin color, like how it can be an insecurity, or so it's just something to talk about. Like, I think it's good. So you have to find like the things that I think it's important when people say, you know, write what you know. I don't think it's completely literal, like you have to write about your own life. I think it's more about writing your experiences, writing how you feel, like the emotions that you've had. So it's not necessarily like the same thing that you've been through that your characters have to go through. I think it's more along the lines of like writing in a way that resonates for you, because that's one thing that I notice more and more. It's like really being able to understand your characters And I think that's a powerful way that we can use our art to talk about different things. So it doesn't have to be that your character has, your life experience, but your character might go through an emotion that you've gone through. And you just have to be creative and find ways to do that. Find ways to talk about what your character is going through that you feel like you relate to, someone you know. Just, I feel like you should know the emotions you're talking about. I think that's what it means when you hear the phrase like write what you know. All right, so let's see. We're getting through these books. And I'm trying to just pick, I want to fill in the area. And this kind of stuff like drives me nuts, like doing little tedious details. That's the kind of stuff that I just enjoy the least. Can I see that? That's it. It is though. It's just like selecting. So that's another reason why I wanted to just do this part, because I know that this is going to be the part that I probably enjoy the least of the whole thing. I was like, let me just get through this part. Sometimes it's like that. Even if you love art, even if you love drawing, there's going to be parts that is like, all right, how can I just get through this? Sometimes it's that perspective part that we talked about. Just getting through that. And I think it's okay, because you're not going to love every part all the time. I don't think that that's necessarily realistic to think that you're just going to enjoy every part of it. If you do, then it's great. But I think most of us are going to have parts that we're like, this part sucks. Especially like the fact that it's this like this abstract kind of a pile back here. So I'm like, oh no. It's like little things. There's people that make like tiny paintings, and this is what they do. They just make tiny paintings. That would make me pull all of my eyelashes out. I would hate that so much. I just can't imagine doing something like that. I just feel like that would be the worst job as an artist that I would have ever gotten, was to do something like that. But this is me. Some people love it, so I guess part of art is finding the little weird things that you do enjoy doing. Like right now, I'm really getting a kick out of digital illustration. I'm just enjoying it right now. It was hard to pick up, but now that I'm getting the hang of it, I really like it a lot. And that's what I want to like spend my time doing. And I'm doing like most of it is outdoors, and like most of it is like nature scenes. So I'm just learning how that goes and learning to get comfortable, like learning plants. I'm like literally like teaching myself these plants that would be in the area. And I think it's important too, when you're doing a children's book or any type of book where you have to illustrate it, is what I'm learning now that I'm really getting involved with backgrounds, is don't just draw like generic plants or generic just like how you wouldn't draw a generic character. Like you don't want your characters to be like feel lifeless or like those made for DVD movies. You want to treat your backgrounds the same way. You want to really to make them good, you want to pay attention, like where is my scene taking place. And that was something that I was thinking about doing, like on this channel, is getting is doing another live stream, just like on visual development type of thing. And one of the things I was thinking about was talking about that, like treating your background with the same respect that you would treat your characters. I mean, this is more like for us who are come from doing mostly character stuff and are transitioning, or like adding, I guess. I wouldn't want to say transitioning. I think adding is a better word, because not giving up or switching anything. It's just learning how to do something that you didn't already know. And for me, that's backgrounds and full illustrations, like everything. So you want to treat your backgrounds with the same respect that you treat your characters. So learn, like, where are you geographically, and if you're someplace that's fictional, where is it based on? Everything is based on something. Like, once I moved to Southern California, I realized how much of Star Wars plants are like here. Like, there's so many strange plants and like succulents and things, and I'm like, this is totally out of a sci-fi. But the idea is that even something that's completely fictional has to be based on something. I mean, if you look at like a fictional creature like a dragon, I mean, there's so many real animals that you can get inspiration from those things. Like, there's so many different types of lizards and amphibians and everything, and the newts and things, and some of them are based off of like Komodo dragons, or some can be like what do they call those black and red ones that are really cute but they're poisonous. I forget the name. But they have them like in Arizona. Like, I think it's the Sonoran Desert in Arizona, and it goes to Mexico, where they have like these lizards. It starts with a G, but I can't remember. But anyway, there's so many real things. So even if you're doing something fictional, you can entirely use real objects, real places, real plants. So I think I was definitely guilty of that before, just using like generic type of plants to base for my backgrounds, instead of, hey, this should be based off of a real thing. So I've learned how to give backgrounds the respect that they really deserve. It makes it more believable, and it makes it more like exciting to look at. That's the thing I'm learning more and more too, is that you need to have, your background should be fun to look at, especially as people's attention spans continue to drop. Alright, there's also like, I don't know if it's like a globe. I'm gonna put something here and I'll just edit it later. Alright. Okay, so, and I also think, oh, I didn't use this for this. Let me see. Let's save. I clearly did not use this for this part, so I'm gonna even this out. And I was figuring it out yesterday, because last week when we were doing this, because I hadn't done this in Photoshop in a while, so I had to relearn, and I didn't realize I could use this. So let me even that out. Okay, I also want to color this darker. I think I want to drop it a little bit. Alright, so I'll take that color and I'll darken it significantly. And I'll use a couple of different colors here. Let's see. That one's more saturated for whatever reason. And here, I'm going to do it like this. Don't worry, there's a method to my madness. That way I can see where that's going. And let's see. All right. Let's see this. Okay. All right. There's also a couple of other objects. So I'll go back to my objects layer. How many snow globes does this girl have? There's another snow globe back here. Alright, so let's go to that, and I'm gonna add it back here. It's a little bit more ovular though. And I want to say it's more like a blue. But not so bright. Maybe just like a pure blue. Alright, and let's see. That didn't work. Maybe I'll do it in a different layer. Oh, okay. Something like that. Yeah, something like that. Maybe make it a little bit more. Maybe I'll add to it, but not yet. Let me see. Oh, no. Edit, redo. Alright. Okay, so let's see what we're doing. There's like I said, a couple more objects, so I think I want to I'm wondering if I should put them, I'm going to make them on a separate layer, so I'm just going to put objects 2. And because I can kind of see, but let's see. There. Okay. I'll just use my regular lasso to fill this part in. This part is, like I said, I knew it was going to take a while, but I think it's still important. We still have to work through these things. Oops, wrong color. The good thing is they're mostly simplified. They're not like, even in the original, they're pretty simplified, these objects. They're not like, you know, massive attention to detail, which I think is okay in certain instances. Like this is in a cubby in the bottom of the girls' room. So I mean, most people aren't gonna look at this. I think this is also a fun place where you can add like Easter eggs. So don't want to use anybody else's copyright, but you can like nod to things or like make a version of something that you've either created or something you're a fan of. I think that can be fun. Just be careful with it though, because you don't want it to be something that's distracting. But you can also do like really like personal Easter eggs. Like if this could be like a bear that you had in your childhood and you just want to include it just because. I think that sort of thing can be fun and something that you can talk about if you ever do like a book signing, or you can say, hey, it might not have seemed like a big moment. Even when you're doing freelance, you can do that because it doesn't take away from the story. This was something that was meaningful for me. I think that kind of thing is pretty fun. All right. No, I'm thinking like, what kind of Easter eggs can I add to my own books? I'm wondering, do I have any in JD Story? I don't think in the first one, I don't think in the first one. In the second one, I think there might be some Easter eggs that I can talk about when the time is right. But in the first one, I don't know if there's any Easter eggs. Alright, we're getting there with the bear, almost done. A little bit darker. Yeah. Oh, actually there is like an Easter egg. Kind of. I do like a little bit of a shout out to my dog. Because I couldn't figure out the coloring for my goat, for the goat in JD Story for a while, and I was like not sure how I wanted to do it. And then we got a dog, and she had this coloring when she was a puppy where she was like really like cream colored, but she had really dark brown ears. So I added that to the goat Aksupi, and now she has the brown ears. Just like my dog. So there is a little bit of an Easter egg in there. All right. Let's see. Are there any? Oh yeah, there's more things going on. There's like some dolls, and there's a few things I'm gonna add. So there's like let's see. I'm gonna grab that lasso tool again. Oh yeah, there's also another one too. The doll. There's a little girl playing with a doll. Um, and it's actually the dolls that I used to play with when I would go to Barbados with my grandparents. They would sell these very like specific type of dolls that I'd never seen anywhere else. But they don't just make them in the Caribbean; they also make them in Africa. Because my husband later bought me one that was just like it. and it was like from Senegal. So I used that doll design for the doll that one of the girls is playing with in my first JD story. So there are some Easter eggs. I'm like, I know I had to put something in there. It's just kind of how I think. I just couldn't remember off the top of my head. But now that I remember, yes, there are Easter eggs. Okay. Okay, so what I want to do in the last couple minutes that we have here add these dolls. So if you can remember toys that you used to have when you were a kid, I think that's a fun Easter egg to start with, to include in your books, if you're going to be working with children's books. It helps you kind of think like you did when you were a kid too, which is a lot of the point when you're illustrating these types of things. Okay, let's see, anything else? There's another doll over here. She's a little more tan. I don't want her to blend in too much with that book. Let's see. It's like the exact color of the book. Almost exact. Alright, so what I'll do is I'll make it a little bit more of a warmer. Let's try this. Alright. When I saw those colors, I was like, oh no, that's like way too close. I could just tell. Alright, so she has like a greenish dress. I haven't figured out the color palette of the book, but I know there's a lot of purple. Like even in the daylight scenes, it seems like there's some consistent purple happening. All right, blue. That makes sense though, the blue on the orange, that complementary. You want to make sure that you get like, your palette should be fairly colorful with children's books, because you want it to like, you want it to be noticeable. You want them to see it in a store, in a bookstore, and just pick it out. You want it to be something that is drawing them. So that really comes especially important when you start thinking about cover design. One of the things that my professor actually had me do before I even finished my first story was just doing the cover, and the idea of how that just kind of makes it real, and it really worked for me. It helped me to continue to stay motivated, especially like because it was my first book. It was really intimidating, but that did help me to like stay on track and to like have something to look at, to like, all right, this is what I'm going for. All right, so we have those. Let's see, what color are those papers? They're much more blue. So I'll go in here to like balance. That makes sense too, to kind of balance out the blue from the other side. So that makes sense to me. I'll put that in the first objects box. Okay, so we have a lot more than we had when we started. It doesn't feel like it because we spent so much time doing like little things, but we do have a lot more things than we had before. Before we close out, I want to put in a little bit more color with our main character over here, just so it feels even more like, you know, finished. Even though we still have quite a ways to go, it still helps to like feel like you're getting somewhere. Oops. All right, put that on. And why did I have that on lock? Oh, that's locked. Why is it locked? All right. Let's see, I'm gonna add her here. It starts here. And she's got texture in her hair. So if you're not familiar with drawing like ethnic hair, like people of color, African descended hair, just keep in mind that they're curls. Like no matter how tight the curl, it's a curl. So they're round. So make sure that you're drawing not just like back and forth, but in a circular motion when you're adding texture, because you want it to have that circular look, because that's what's going to make it feel like real, like African descended hair. So just because I've seen like people, they're not sure, especially I noticed that when I was working with other artists in it was a paint and sip shop, and some of the paintings that we did, like they just didn't know, and it wasn't anything bad, they just weren't sure how to add the texture. And then I just like explained how it works, and they're like, oh, okay, and they got it. So it's just something to keep in mind, so that when you're drawing or painting, when you get to the painting stage, or even in the sketch phase too, and you're adding different types of characters, it doesn't matter like what your main character's, you know, background is. Hopefully you have multiple cultures in your story, so you want to be able to include really natural looking hair when you're getting to that stage. Okay. Oops. Maybe a little bit. I think that'll work. And I'll just add highlights as we go. I might end up adding some line, like some pencil line things, but I'm just trying to see like what I can do without it. It's important when you are doing lineless stuff to kind of accentuate where things are changing or overlapping. That was something that I had to learn. And I'm still learning how to do it better. And I think I will do the elephant on a different layer. She has like a stuffed elephant in her hand. And again with that purple color, more purple color. That doesn't really show, but it should. It's there, or the body is there somewhere. Let's see. And then I think this is behind her hand. And then we have the trunk. We'll do that again. And I just feel like putting the little eyes on. Okay, let's see without that. Let me put her nose on. She needs a nose. I'll just make it a little bit wider. Because you need to define the spaces when you don't have a line, so you have to kind of do it with different colors. And I have to keep retraining myself that too. Like, I have to keep these things in mind because I'm really, like I keep saying, I'm still a noob with digital, so these are things I have to remind myself. Let's see. Oops, wrong color. I was thinking this other pupil is too big, but it looks like it's actually smaller than the other one. So maybe I'll make it a little bit bigger. Alright guys, we still have a long way to go. At least a few more hours in our sessions. But we made some good progress. I want to fix this right here really quickly. Let's see, where's my object layer? That feels a little better. No, this is still, let's see. I'm being nitpicky, but I have to be. With certain things, you kind of have to be nitpicky. Because you want them to, if you don't see it, someone else will, so you better fix it. Alright, let's save. Okay, I think we're good for now. We made a lot of progress since last week. Window frame, and I'm seeing all the things that I didn't see before. Like where I messed up with this. Maybe I'll move it over a little bit too. Okay. And before I knew to use the polygonal lasso tool, let's see where I messed up. And because my cushion should be, I think, underneath that. But now my perspective is messed up. But not to the point of unfixability. Okay, thank you. Alright, I think that's okay. What about this? Should I take this in a little bit? Let's see. Alright, I think that works. I want to fix the cushion just for a second. Make it a little bit more even. Just ever so slightly. Let's see. Is that okay? I know this is going to be uneven now. That's okay. I think I can fix that. You see, now I get obsessive. I think it's part of it though. You have to kind of be just a little bit obsessive about it. I think that makes it good, don't it? It makes it not bad. You don't want to have bad art. You gotta have some pride in what you're doing, even if it's a study. Alright, I'm happy with this so far. I think we're on good progress. So let's save it. Let's see it in full screen so we can see everything we did this week. We are starting to work without that sketch layer. So that's what that sketch layer, it's on 32%, so if I put it all the way, then you can see it like that. I put it on 32, let's put it 32, and then I'll just turn it off for now. But we made a lot of progress. We added all of these objects, figured out the spacing, going back to that cubby, added all of these things. They were just sketched before, the little papers on the wall. Evened out some things, so just going through it with a little bit of more of a finer tooth, which is good. Let's see. I'm seeing that this, I've learned to properly use my polygonal lasso tool, so we're correcting some of the things that we didn't know to do before. So that's good, and I'm pretty happy with it so far. So that's where we're at, and we will continue next week. All right, so thank you guys so much for joining me for this time of studying the masters. The artist is Vashti Harrison, so check her out on Instagram. She is a great artist. I really like her stuff, and it's really been fun learning from her. So check her out, and join me next week for studying the masters again. And I'll be doing some other new things too on this channel, so make sure that you hit the subscribe button, and I will see you again soon. Have a great weekend, and until I see you next time, be grateful, live balanced, and be yourself. Bye bye.